even if all his magic is used up. Even if he is shattered to pieces, he will protect Zhu'er. Although he was a hunter in his previous life, but his combat power was very poor. But in order to survive, he memorized all the books about monsters. He knew the weaknesses of each monster. Thinking, Shu Jun attacked the Minotaur's weakness, its eyes. Shu Jun gathered all his magic power and threw it at the monster. The terrifying power of the stick, causing the ground to crack inch by inch. He has little magic power, and he could only gamble this time. The next moment, Shu Chun's face was full of surprise. The stick hit the Minotaur's weakness without any obstruction. The Minotaur was killed on the spot. But it wasn't because he was so powerful, but the Minotaur's feet were frozen by ice magic. Could it be Zhu'er? But when he looked at Zhu'er again, he felt something was wrong. Zhu'er happened to be standing in the middle of the building where the Minotaur fell. In the crisis, Zhu'er closed her eyes in fear. But after waiting for a long time, nothing happened when Zhu'er opened her eyes again. Shu Jun was lying in front of her. Shu Jun was covered in blood, but he looked at Zhu'er gently. Zhu'er, are you hurt? Seeing Zhu'er nod, Shu Jun collapsed on the ground with relief, and Zhu'er was already sobbing. Looking at the unconscious Shu Jun, Zhu'er cried her heart out. Before passing out, Shu Jun opened his eyes and looked at Zhu'er. He had made Zhu'er cry countless times before, but those were all tears of pain. But this time, what he saw was heartache and contained reluctance. At night, in a hospital, her ex-girlfriend En-hui ran into the ward in a panic. Zhu'er hugged En-hui tightly. Then a weak voice came. In front of En-hui, she saw Shu Jun lying in bed, who was dying on the bed. En-hui cried on the spot, which scared Shu Jun to stand up immediately. Shu Jun and Zhu'er just wanted to play a joke, but they didn't expect En-hui to be scared like this. En-hui, are you crying? But soon he would experience the price of his stupidity. After Zhu'er fell asleep, Shu Jun and En-hui went out to talk. Shu Jun raised his doubts. When he was fighting with the Minotaur's foot was frozen. He suspected that someone had used magic. But Zhu'er was the only one nearby at that time. Hearing these dirty words, her expression suddenly changed. She tried to cover it up. What magic? Zhu'er was so young. How could she use magic? And this acting was really exaggerated. Shu Jun couldn't stand it anymore. He said, "Look me in the eyes and speak properly." Seeing that she couldn't hide it, En-hui had to sigh. She rubbed the cup. "Shu-ru, can you keep the secret for me?" Shu-ru immediately became serious. "Zhu'er is my daughter. I would never do anything to hurt her." En-hui blushed. She remembered Shu-ru at the last meeting, and she chose to believe without hesitation. That thing was probably done by Zhu'er. "Do you remember the reason I asked you for help?" I said the house collapsed. Actually, it was caused by Zhu'er. It was caused by emotional outburst, although there was no problem usually. But once exposed, he was afraid that a strange institute would take Su'er away. En-hui felt uneasy about being favored. Shu-jun held En-hui's hand to comfort her. "She is my daughter. I won't let this happen." En-hui asked the question in her heart. "Have you ever doubted that she is not your daughter?" Shu-jun smiled. "She is my daughter. Even if she wasn't. I couldn't say that in front of her." After saying this, Shu-jun quietly clenched the chair with his hand. This sentence, for herself who had denied Su'er many times, was like self-abuse. But it did make En-hui happy. Hui was happy, seeing En-hui's smiling face. Shu-jun felt his heart beating fast. And his heart was struggling wildly. He was in his 40s in his previous life. Why did he still be moved at such an age? Shu-jun also learned that En-hui followed his advice and read the guild contract carefully and found many loopholes in the contract. So Yun-hai was furious and left. Shu-jun successfully changed the tragic fate of Yun-hai in the last life, but no other guild has contacted him yet. He will soon have nothing to eat. Shu-jun is confident. He will help Yun-hai become a hunter. I have top-notch cheats. He will be amused immediately. What top secret? But he didn't expect Shu-jun really had it. The next day, Shu-jun took En-hui and Su'er to an old answering hall. After entering the meeting, his doubts were dispelled. Although he didn't know weapons, but the weapons on those shelves looked really powerful. Then an old man came out. Shu-jun immediately knew he had found the right place. The old man in front of him was one of the people he remembered most in his past life. The world's top blacksmith, Gentai. Shu-jun immediately bowed and introduced himself. En-hui also bowed. Even Cher joined in the fun. This polite behavior successfully increased the favorability of Tigan. When En-hui was hesitant about the weapon, Shu-jun had already picked a weapon for him. It was a beautiful bow. In the previous life, he used a long sword according to the guild's requirements, but the long sword didn't make him stand out. Until one time his sword was broken. En-hui picked up the longbow of his dead teammate. From that day on, En-hui began to show his talents. En-hui was very happy to get the longbow. Now he believes Shu-jun's words 100%. Gangtai said his store doesn't support returns, only exchange. He handed over the shopping list and looked at it. En-hui was stunned by the price. The price is too high. Shu-jun said it was a gift for him. But Cher noticed her mother's worry. She held En-hui's pants with her little hand. Is it expensive? Then I'll eat less snacks. This immediately made En-hui and Shu-jun panic. Su'er is a sensible and good child. But in En-hui's eyes, Su'er is at the age of being naughty. But he is so well behaved. It's all because he didn't give Su'er a good material life. After Su'er said this, the scene fell into a moment of silence. Gentai showed a distressed look. Then, Gang Tai took the shopping list from Shu Jun. I need to buy some snacks for Zuar. When they saw the shopping list again, the whole room was silent. Because of such a good weapon, Gang Tai only charged for the materials. What kind of person is this old man? Manhwa and Shu Jun were overjoyed with the weapon. They were in a great mood. Shu Jun also got a weapon. Let's go to the dungeon. Before going to the dungeon, we need to do combat training. To help En Hui quickly adapt to the identity of a hunter, Hue En followed Shu Jun's advice and practiced the longbow. After a period of training, and shot through a thick tree with one shot. Nhua looked shocked. Did I just shoot through the tree? Just then, Shu Jun and Zhu Er came over. Shu Jun bought sausage rice cake and took Zhu Er and En Hui to rest. This is the secret base he used for training in his last life. In this episode, he first taught En Hui the basics of hunting and combat skills, and taught En Hui how to use a bow and arrow. Although the bow and arrow training was good, but En Hui still couldn't sense magic. But at this moment, Zhu suddenly said innocently that she could. Magic Mom, let me teach you. The next moment, terrifying magic power gathered on Zhu's little hand. They were directly scared to be speechless. Shu Jun quickly touched their head, asking Zhu to dispel the magic. Seeing Zhu's happy face, they couldn't help but worry. It seems that they need to pay more attention in the future. When they go to the dungeon, someone can see Zhu. Shu Jun immediately thought of a suitable person. Yes, it was his father. But when Shu Jun saw his father kept a cold face. Until Shu Jun said this was En Hui's child. His father's eyes lit up immediately. Are you married? Shu Jun scratched his head and proposed. But it didn't work. No surprise. His father scolded him. Shu Jun had to bite the bullet and say, I have something to ask for today. Then he asked Zhu to walk towards his father. Zhu, this is your grandpa. And when his father touched Zhu's face, he was instantly shocked by the soft touch. He looked reluctant, but his hands kept touching her. With someone to look after Zhu, Shu Jun can safely carry out his plan. Shu Jun took En Hui to a far shopping mall, but only bought a watch strap. The stone inlaid on the strap is called Magic Lamp, which can sense magic. Exploring ancient tombs in the dungeon. It's very expensive. It was found by Cher in the scrap of a weapon store. The boss thought Zhu was cute and gave it to her directly. But Zhu gave it to Shuru directly. But actually, buying this strap was not Shuru's intention. The reason why he came here all the way. He had a more important purpose. Soon, in a burst of frenzied shouting, a handsome guy like a big star walked out. Even En Hui knew him. This is a star who often appears on TV. Hunter Chun Shuksuan. Many guilds rely on the media to promote themselves. Chun Shuksuan's good looks, and the title of hunter. His popularity is no less than that of those entertainers. And Hue could see that. Shu Jun looked very bad. She thought it was the shadow left by protecting Cher last time. So she patted her chest and said she would protect you. Shu Jun was speechless. In fact, she just didn't like that guy. Because Chen Xuan, but in the previous life, the culprit who caused En Hui to suffer misfortune. Thinking of Shu Jun, he picked up his phone. Time is up.